I thought in 7 games the Brooklyn Nets were going to beat the Celtics. Yeah, I kind of whiffed on that one. But it is, I mean, I always root for star players. I told you this with Russell Wilson. I felt bad for Russell Wilson. I wanted Russell Wilson to be in a better environment with an offensive coach and better weapons. I want to see Brady with better weapons. Matt Stafford with a better franchise. I like seeing stars be great, right? If you're into music, you don't want Jay-Z to have a bad producer. You want to see the greatest of the great be elevated. And Kevin Durant trails the Celtics 3-0, and they're done. And I said it after the second game. It's over. They have to work too hard for shots. So I'll get, in about 5 minutes, I'll let you hear some sound from Kevin Durant. But one of the things Kevin Durant said was, I'm thinking too much. No, time out. You didn't think enough. Kevin, you're not down 3-0 because you're thinking too much. You're down 3-0 because you didn't give it enough thought. You left Steve Kerr for Steve Nash. Steve Nash had never been an assistant coach. Steve Kerr's a championship winning coach. He was a great broadcaster, a very good GM. It's a terrible decision. You left Steph Curry, the most selfless superstar maybe in any sport ever. Dude's coming off the bench now against Denver to give Jordan Poole more minutes. For Kyrie Irving. You're not thinking too much. You didn't think enough. At one point, you and Kyrie were on a podcast and you said, we don't need coaches. In the history of sports, college and pro, there's never been a dynasty without a great coach. Not one. Look it up. Bill Walsh, Chuck Noll, Popovich, Saban, Gino Auriemma, Pat Summitt, men's sports, women's sports, college, pro. Never been a dynasty without a great coach. You and Kyrie, we'll coach. Come on, man. Listen, I am not. NBA media and NBA agents are terrified to lose access to the stars. And it is a star-driven league. Increasingly, for the record, so is the NFL. But the NFL agents would go to their clients and say, don't do that, it's idiotic. The NFL media crushes its players. What would we do if Patrick Mahomes decided, I'm going to leave Andy Reid, Brett Veach, that roster, those fans, and go to the Jets because, I got a buddy, a slot receiver. You'd be like, his agent would go, no, I'm not going to represent you. I'm not going to sign off on that move. NFL media would crush him. Fans would roll their eyes at him. In the NBA, Kevin Durant leaves the Warriors for Brooklyn, and I was the only national person that was like, what are you doing? This is a terrible move. It's an awful move. What are you doing, man? You're picking the wrong guy to go to Vegas for the weekend with. You're going to end up broke. So it's like it's time. And by the way, the more power you give these NBA superstars, and not many have this power, but some do. The more power you give these NBA superstars, anybody noticing a trend? Their team gets worse. I'm not a shut up and dribble guy. I like my athletes to have opinions. But for all athletes in all sports, cool it on thinking you know personnel. Remember Harden? I love Westbrook. We're guys. That's fine. That's one thing to be friends. It's another to play well together. And by the way, this isn't just for athletes. Anytime a coach in the NFL gets too much personnel power, Belichick, Pete Carroll, what happens to their drafts? Bill Belichick last year, best Patriot draft in about 7 years. Why? Belichick backed off. Let the scouts do it. Coaching's hard. Playing's hard. Scouting's hard. Owning, I don't know if it's hard. But it's a reward for years and years of doing stuff with your capital and making a lot of money. But this stuff's all individually very difficult. I rip owners when they try to be a GM and coach. I rip owners. I rip the billionaires. Like, get out of the GM. Stop this stuff. Stop coaching. You're a billionaire. You're a business guy. You're not a GM. So I'm going to rip players like LeBron, who wanted Westbrook, and KD, who left Steph for Kyrie. What are you doing? You're not a personnel guy. You're not watching college games for the draft. So, Kevin Durant is a remarkable player, and he is now trapped. First of all, he's stuck with Ben Simmons. You can't trade that guy now. In fact, there's a story this morning. The Brooklyn Nets organization made sure Woj had this story, quote, "We're exasperated with Ben Simmons." Exasperated? The contract just started. He hasn't played yet, and you're exasperated. And Kyrie Irving, they're trapped. because Kyrie's going to opt out, and they're either going to have to trade him, what I would do, or give him a max extension. $50 million a year for 5 years. I can't do that with Kyrie. I can't. It's time to stop coddling. At one point, a newspaper retracted a headline because Kevin Durant in Oklahoma City was bothered by it. So, you know how many ugly articles have been written about people in America? NBA media, NBA agents, do your clients and those who seek access from these stars, do them a favor. Occasionally hold them accountable. We hold NFL stars accountable. Why can't we hold NBA stars accountable? The second Kevin Durant thought Steve Nash could do a Steve Kerr. I know they're both brilliant guys. But the idea that you can coach in the NBA without ever being an assistant for several years, there's a reason the Celtics have a really good young coach. Because he sat on the bench for years. That's the way the game works. There's a reason Jason Kidd was terrible in his first 2 jobs, and now he's better. Because he was on the bench for years. So this is not about thinking too much. This is about coddling, not holding people accountable, and KD now is absolutely trapped. So the interesting series is Memphis and Minnesota. It's the 2 youngest teams. They're not championship teams, but it's fun. Usually you get a young team, plays a veteran team, they're out in the first round. But now you have the 2 youngest teams, both great futures. I think Memphis has a better overall roster. I feel like they're a year ahead of the T-Wolves. But here we know this. The future of these 2 franchises is Anthony Edwards, Minnesota, and Ja Morant. There's other great players around. I mean, Karl Anthony Towns, very good. They got nice players over on Memphis. They've drafted really well. But if you had to choose 2 great young players, they're certainly in the class, right? Got best players under like 22 years old. Which one would you take? And I think most people would take Ja Morant. Now, let's just say this. They're both going to be Hall of Famers if they stay healthy. They're both great kids. They're totally into basketball, totally into winning. They're fun. They're exciting. Their games are made for highlights. So they're going to be $500 million players. I love both of them. But here's why I would choose Ant. Muscular, strong, athletic. His comp is Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade's prime was 10 to 11 years. Dwayne was a 13-time All-Star. Now, Ant has some advantages over Dwayne Wade. He's a better shooter. Translation, won't drive to the rim as much and have collisions with bigger bodies. He is a much better shooter from the outside than Dwayne Wade was. Secondly, he came into the NBA 1 year earlier. Third, nutrition and training standards much higher today than 15, 20 years ago when Dwayne Wade walked into the league. Ant is a big, strong player who's not going to get hurt much, and his comp, Dwayne Wade, had a 10 to 11-year prime and 13 All-Stars. Ja Morant is an inch shorter and 50 pounds lighter. His comp is D. Rose and John Wall. Combined, they made 8 All-Star teams, both injured early. Now, I think John's much better than Westbrook, much better than Wall, but I don't think he's miles different than Derrick Rose. They both remind me of the same, although I think Ja's a better passer. And again, when I look at Ja and Anthony Edwards, these could be the next 2 great young stars in our league. But if you had to choose either, with Ja, I see a little bit of OBJ. When he's spectacular, it's the talk of the internet. With Anthony Edwards, I see more Mike Evans. It won't be the talk as often. He won't control the ball as much. He'll play off ball more. He won't have it in his hands as much. But that kid is a 16-year NBA career and 14 All-Star games when I watch him. Body, durability, style. His comp is D. Wade. If D. Wade was a better shooter, he'd have pulled up more. There's an argument to be made. He'd still be playing. LeBron James figured that out very early, and LeBron's much bigger than D. Wade. LeBron started shooting jumpers. Like 10 years ago, LeBron started moving his game to the outside. Why? Because LeBron understood. That's why LeBron always loves playing with bigs. He wants Kevin Love to get the rebounds and Bosh to get the rebounds, Anthony Davis to get the rebounds. LeBron's like, I want to extend my career. I want to shoot a few more followaways, a few more things from the outside. Anybody that watched Michael Jordan would tell you this. Michael Jordan played hard. Michael Jordan finished at the rim a lot. Michael Jordan got tackled a lot. It cut down his career. He aged pretty quickly after that 6th championship. But Ja and Ant are remarkable players. If I had to choose one today, based on history and precedent, I'd probably choose Ant. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.